Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive into another week of crypto chaos?
Seems like there's never a dull moment, is there?
Nope, not these days. Buckle up. We've got a stack of reports and articles here. And let me tell you, things are getting interesting.
Oh, definitely. Lots of moving pieces and some pretty big players making some bold moves.
Exactly. Speaking of bold moves, this MicroStrategy story really caught my eye. So they're already super into Bitcoin,
Right. Heavily invested already.
but now they're like doubling down. Another $2 billion to buy even more.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what they know that we don't.
I know, right? It's like, what are they seeing that maybe the rest of us are missing?
Well, the way they're doing it is interesting, too. They're using a preferred stock offering to raise the capital.
Okay, and for anyone who doesn't live and breathe finance like we do, explain what that is.
Sure, it's basically a way for companies to raise money by issuing a special type of stock that gives investors priority over common stockholders.
So it's like a higher level of investment with maybe a little more risk, but potentially more reward.
You could say that. And it's a pretty bold move in this current environment, especially with all the regulatory back and forth going on.
Oh, right. Totally forgot about that. It's like one step forward, two steps back sometimes with all this.
Exactly. Like on one hand, you've got MicroStrategy, this public company making a huge bet on Bitcoin.
And on the other hand, you have the FDIC basically saying, whoa there, hold your horses.
Yeah, they're urging banks to be super careful about offering Bitcoin services, even sent out letters outlining their concerns.
So it's MicroStrategy saying, yeah, let's go all in, and the FDIC saying, not so fast.
Pretty much. It highlights the uncertainty that still surrounds crypto. Tons of potential, obviously.
But yeah, the regulators are still figuring out how to manage the whole thing.
Exactly. It's a balancing act, and it's going to take time. And for everyday investors,
It just reinforces that you got to stay informed, right?
absolutely got to understand the potential upside and downside of any investment, especially in this space.
Okay, so we've got big players making big bets and regulators tapping the brakes. Now let's talk about something that honestly left me scratching my head. Bitcoin Gold.
Oh, yeah, that one was interesting.
So it's a Bitcoin fork, right?
Right, a fork is when a blockchain splits, creating a new version of the cryptocurrency. Bitcoin Gold is one of those offshoots.
Okay, so Bitcoin Gold, it sees its price skyrocket like 140%, which is insane.
Yeah, that's a massive jump.
But here's the kicker. It got delisted from a major South Korean exchange, Upbit.
Yeah, that's the part that makes you go,
It's like, how does a cryptocurrency surge in price after getting kicked off a major exchange?
It's a great example of how volatile and frankly unpredictable the crypto market can be.
So is there something else at play here? Like, are there underlying factors driving this surge? Or is it more like smoke and mirrors?
It's tough to say for sure. There could be some positive developments behind the scenes.
Or it could be good old-fashioned market manipulation.
Definitely a possibility, especially with cryptocurrencies that have lower trading volumes. Large holders can sometimes sway the price.
So what's the takeaway here for the average investor trying to navigate this wild world?
Due diligence is key. Don't just chase the hype. Understand the fundamentals and always be aware of the risks involved.
Right, because sometimes what looks like a golden opportunity could be fool's gold.
Exactly. And speaking of needing to be careful, let's talk about Phantom Wallet.
Oh yeah, the Solana wallet. Lots of buzz around that lately.
Right. So there are all these rumors flying around about them launching their own token and doing an airdrop.
And an airdrop, just so everyone's on the same page.
An airdrop is when a project gives away free tokens to early adopters or community members.
It's like a thank you for being here kind of thing.
Sort of, yeah. A way to build hype and distribute tokens. But in Phantom's case, they officially debunked the rumors.
So no token, no airdrop.
Nope. They made it clear they have no plans for either.
Which is important because I feel like misinformation can spread so fast in the crypto world.
Oh, absolutely. Like wildfire. And scammers are always looking to take advantage of situations like this.
Creating fake tokens or websites to trick people.
Exactly. So it's another reminder to always verify information from official sources before doing anything.
Okay, so we've got big bets, regulatory hurdles, and rumors debunked. What's next on our crypto roller coaster?
Well, let's talk about Chainlink. We're seeing a lot of accumulation of their tokens, particularly by large holders, the so-called whales.
Okay, so big players are loading up on Chainlink. What do you think is driving that?
Well, first, a quick explainer for anyone who's not familiar. Chainlink is a project that aims to connect real-world data to the blockchain.
So it's like a bridge between the physical world and the digital world of crypto.
You could say that. It allows smart contracts, which are essentially self-executing agreements on the blockchain, to interact with real-world information.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So why are the whales so interested?
Could be a few reasons. One is that Chainlink is crucial for all sorts of applications like decentralized finance, supply chain management, even insurance.
So as more and more industries start to explore blockchain technology, Chainlink becomes even more important.
Exactly, and the whales might be anticipating that growing demand.
So is this a sign that Chainlink is about to take off? Should we be paying attention?
It's definitely something to watch. Whale activity can definitely influence market sentiment and potentially drive up prices.
But as always, no guarantees in the crypto world, right?
Right. Do your research, understand the market trends, and invest based on your own risk tolerance?
Solid advice. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about the big daddy Bitcoin. It's been hovering around that $100,000 mark for a while now, and analysts are calling it a critical point. Why is this price level so significant?
Well, it's a psychological barrier for one thing. Breaking through it convincingly could trigger a wave of buying, pushing the price even higher.
So it's like a tipping point. If it goes over 100,000, watch out.
Potentially. But if it can't hold that level,
It could drop back down.
right, we could see a correction. Some investors might get spooked and sell off their holdings.
And that could have a ripple effect throughout the whole crypto market, right?
Absolutely. Bitcoin's movements tend to influence everything else.
So it's a make or break moment for Bitcoin. What do you think is going to happen?
It's tough to predict. There are so many factors at play: macroeconomic conditions, regulatory developments, and just general investor sentiment, which can be super unpredictable.
So buckle up, it's going to be a bumpy ride.
Always is with crypto. The best approach is to stay informed, don't make any rash decisions, and try to ride out the waves.
All right, so we've got Bitcoin on the edge of its seat. Now let's shift gears again and talk about something I find fascinating, the intersection of traditional finance and decentralized finance, or DeFi.
Yeah, we're seeing some interesting developments there.
One story that caught my eye is Frax Finance, a DeFi protocol launching a new stablecoin.
Right, stablecoins are cryptocurrencies designed to maintain a stable value, usually pegged to a fiat currency like the US dollar.
So they're less volatile than something like Bitcoin.
Much less. And they're crucial for DeFi because they provide a way to reduce risk and make transactions easier.
Okay, so what's special about this Frax Finance stablecoin?
Well, it's backed by BlackRock's BUIDL fund. And BlackRock is not messing around. They're a massive asset management firm.
So their involvement brings a lot of credibility to the table.
Absolutely. It suggests that even these giant traditional financial institutions are starting to see the potential of DeFi.
It's like the old guard meeting the new world.
Exactly. And speaking of the old guard dipping their toes into crypto, we've got Morgan Stanley reportedly considering offering crypto trading services to their clients.
Oh, really? Morgan Stanley. That's a big deal.
It is. If they move forward, it could be a signal to other traditional institutions that they can't ignore crypto anymore.
It's like the floodgates could open.
Potentially. We could see a huge influx of capital into the market, more liquidity, and maybe even more price stability.
Wow. So a lot of potential ripple effects there. Okay,
Yeah.
One last story before we move on. It looks like South Korea is reconsidering its stance on cryptocurrency exchange-traded funds, or ETFs.
Yeah, that's a big development. Right now, they don't allow them.
And for those who don't know what a crypto ETF is,
It's basically a way to invest in cryptocurrencies without actually buying and holding the crypto itself. You're buying shares of an ETF that tracks a specific crypto index or asset.
so it's a more accessible way for people to get exposure to crypto.
Exactly. And if South Korea approves them, it could pave the way for other countries to do the same.
So it would be huge for the crypto industry, right?
Absolutely. It could attract a lot more investment from both institutions and everyday folks, and further legitimize crypto as an asset class.
So it sounds like we're on the verge of some major shifts in the crypto landscape.
Things are definitely heating up. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. Let's take a quick pause here and let all this information sink in before we move on.
Yeah, it's a wild ride for sure, but hey, that's crypto for you. Always keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, that's for sure. Speaking of keeping us on our toes, let's talk about Athena. They're developing a payment app for Telegram that caught my eye.
Oh yeah, Athena. Pretty ambitious roadmap they've got for 2025. Definitely seems like they're aiming high. One thing that stood out to me was their plan to launch a decentralized exchange, a DEX.
Yeah, that's a big one. DEXs are basically cryptocurrency exchanges that operate without a central authority. Peer-to-peer trading.
Oh, okay, so cut out the middleman, so to speak.
Exactly. It's a really interesting concept and aligns with that whole decentralized ethos that drew a lot of people to crypto in the first place.
Right, that idea of cutting out the middleman and giving power back to the seed.
Exactly. And for Athena, it could be a smart move. They could create a whole ecosystem around their token.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Break it down for me.
So imagine users seamlessly trading the Athena token on the DX, using it for payments within Telegram and potentially other messaging platforms too.
They're also talking about expanding to other platforms, right?
Right, so it could become this multi-platform payment system, all powered by their token and facilitated by their own DEX.
That's pretty ambitious, but I kind of like it.
Yeah.
It's like they're trying to make crypto as easy to use as sending a text message.
Yeah, that's the goal for a lot of projects in this space, to make crypto more user-friendly, more accessible to the masses.
Which makes sense.
Okay.
Let's circle back to this idea of traditional finance embracing crypto. We talked about BlackRock and now Morgan Stanley. Do you think this is just a blip on the radar, or is it a sign of a bigger shift?
I think it's a bigger shift. These institutions, they see the writing on the wall.
What do you mean?
They see that crypto is not going away. It's gaining traction. It's attracting investors, and they're realizing they can't just sit on the sidelines.
So they're being forced to adapt or risk being left behind?
Pretty much. And if a giant like Morgan Stanley goes all in on crypto,
What happens then?
it could be a game changer. We
Yeah.
could see a huge influx of capital into the market, more legitimacy for crypto as an asset class.
And for the average investor.
It could become much easier to buy and sell crypto through familiar channels, lower barrier to entry,
Okay, so potentially a win-win for both the industry and investors.
potentially. But let's not forget about the flip side, regulatory scrutiny.
Right, that's the other side of the coin.
As more institutional money comes in, regulators will want to make sure things are above board, protect investors, prevent fraud.
So that push and pull between adoption and regulation, that's going to continue.
Absolutely. It's a constant dance, and it's going to shape the future of crypto.
Okay, let's rewind a bit and revisit Bitcoin. We talked about that $100,000 mark. Any movement there?
It's still dancing around that level, hasn't made a decisive break either way yet.
So the market's holding its breath.
Pretty much. Everyone's waiting to see which way it's going to go. Will it surge past 100,000 or will it drop back down?
A real nail biter. Speaking of price swings, we talked about Bitcoin Gold earlier. That 140% surge despite being delisted. Any more clues about what might have caused that?
It's still a bit of a mystery. Market manipulation is always possible, but some analysts are pointing to potential tech developments, maybe even rumors of partnerships.
So it could be driven by hype or it could be something more concrete.
Exactly. And that's the thing about crypto. Got to be careful. Got to do your research.
Don't get caught up in the frenzy.
Right. Don't just buy something because you see the price going up. Understand what you're investing in. Look at the fundamentals.
Solid advice.
Yep.
Okay, let's shift gears and talk more about the regulatory landscape. We discussed the FDIC's warnings to banks, but what else is happening on that front?
Well, South Korea's potential shift towards embracing crypto ETFs, that's a big one.
Right, we talked about that earlier. They're reconsidering their ban,
And if they approve them, it could have a domino effect. Other countries might follow suit.
which would be huge for the industry. What other regulatory hurdles do you think crypto needs to overcome to really go mainstream?
Clarity and consistency, that's key. Right now, the rules surrounding crypto, they vary wildly from country to country.
It's a patchwork quilt of regulations.
Exactly. And that makes it hard for businesses to operate, for investors to feel secure. Clearer regulations would foster more innovation and help the industry mature.
So are we headed towards a more regulated future for crypto? Is that inevitable?
It's definitely possible. As crypto becomes more integrated into the global financial system, regulators are going to want to have more oversight.
Makes sense. But finding that balance between fostering innovation and protecting investors, that's going to be the tricky part.
Oh, absolutely. It's a tightrope walk, but the outcome is going to have a huge impact on the future of this whole space.
Okay, one last thought before we move on. We've talked a lot about institutional adoption, regulation, price volatility, but what about the tech itself? Is blockchain technology really living up to the hype?
I think it has the potential to be truly transformative. We're seeing applications in so many areas beyond just finance, supply chain management, healthcare voting systems, even art and collectibles.
So it's not just about buying and selling cryptocurrencies.
Not at all. The underlying technology has so much more to offer. The key is for developers to build real-world applications that actually solve problems.
So it's all about utility. Does the future of crypto hinge on its ability to move beyond speculation and into practical use cases?
I think so. The hike cycles will come and go, but ultimately, the long-term success of crypto depends on its ability to deliver real value.
Value to individuals, businesses, society as a whole.
Exactly. That's what's going to determine whether it's just a fad or a true technological revolution.
Wow. Okay. So much to consider. All right, we've covered a lot of ground in this segment. Let's take a quick breather, gather our thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this deep dive with some final takeaways. All right, so we've been through the ringer here. Bitcoin, ETFs, DeFi, whales. It's a lot to keep track of.
It is. The crypto space moves fast, that's for sure.
That's one way to put it. But before we wrap up, let's try to step back and look at the bigger picture. What are the main takeaways from all this?
Well, I think one thing that's clear is that institutional interest in crypto is only growing.
Yeah, we saw that with MicroStrategy, BlackRock, even Morgan Stanley may be getting involved.
Exactly, and that's a big deal. For a long time, traditional finance kind of looked down on crypto, saw it as this risky, speculative thing.
But now they're starting to see it as a real asset class.
Right, they're realizing they can't ignore it anymore. And that's likely to have a big impact on the market, could lead to more stability, more liquidity.
And more regulation, too.
All right, definitely. As more institutional money flows in, regulators are going to want to make sure things are running smoothly, protect investors, that kind of thing.
So that's going to be a big factor going forward, this whole balancing act between adoption and regulation.
Absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And for everyday investors, I think the key takeaway is to stay informed.
Do your research.
Exactly. Don't just buy into the hype. Understand what you're investing in. Know the risks.
Solid advice.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that stood out to me is the innovation happening in DeFi, all these new platforms and applications popping up.
Yeah, DeFi is really pushing the boundaries. It's all about creating a more open and accessible financial system, cutting out the middlemen.
And then there's Bitcoin, the OG crypto, still holding court.
Still the king, yeah.
Yeah.
Its price movements still have a huge impact on the rest of the market.
And it's still teetering on the edge of that $100,000 mark.
Which way will it go? Who knows? That's the fun part.
Or the terrifying part, depending on how much you've invested. So where do we go from here? What's next for crypto?
It's hard to say for sure, but one thing's for certain. This technology is here to stay. It's already changing the world in so many ways, and we're just getting started.
Well, you've given us a lot to think about. And to everyone listening out there, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the wild world of crypto.
It's always an adventure.
That's for sure. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and happy investing, everyone.